If you're running a growing business, you've probably hit this wall. You know you need top-tier cybersecurity leadership, but you definitely don't have a massive enterprise-level budget to play with. It's a really tough spot to be in. So today, we're going to break it all down and solve that dilemma.
So, who should be at the helm? Who's going to steer your cyber defense ship? Should it be a full-time executive or maybe a more flexible virtual expert? This is the big question we're going to help you answer so you can make a choice that's right for your company right now.
And here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll talk about the modern security dilemma, why this is so important today. Then, we'll introduce our two main players, put them head-to-head in a comparison, and then help you figure out which path is yours. And finally, we'll wrap up with the ultimate goal you should be aiming for.
Look, in today's threat landscape, having a strategic security leader isn't some luxury for giant corporations anymore. It's become a fundamental, absolutely non-negotiable requirement for any business that wants to stick around.
And this is about way more than just managing firewalls, right? A real security leader is a translator. They're the bridge that connects the super technical risks your IT team sees with the real-world business impact that your boardroom needs to understand. Without that bridge, you're flying blind.
So with that in mind, let's meet the two main contenders for this critical role, the traditional full-time Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO, and the newer, more modern, virtual CISO, the vCISO.
The full-time CISO. You know this model. It's the classic approach. You hire a senior executive, they're on your payroll, they're a full-time employee, they are deeply embedded in your company culture, building and running the whole security program from the inside out.
The vCISO, on the other hand, is a whole different animal. Think of it as CISO as a service. You're outsourcing the role. You get all that high-level strategic thinking and expertise, but on a part-time, flexible basis. You get the brain, without the full-time overhead.
All right, now for the fun part. Let's put these two models in the ring, head-to-head. We're going to run them through 5 rounds based on critical business factors. This should make it really clear which one is the right fit for you.
First up, round 1, expertise. And this is a huge distinction. With a vCISO, you're not just hiring one person's brain. You're tapping into an entire team's collective experience, folks who've seen it all across dozens of different industries. A full-time CISO, no matter how brilliant they are, is still just one person, limited by their own personal career path.
Let's move on to round 2, cost. And let's be honest, this is a big one. For small and medium-sized businesses, the vCISO model is almost always going to be way more cost-effective. You get to skip the huge overhead of an executive salary, the bonuses, the benefits, the recruiting fees, all of it.
And just to put a number on it, we're talking a base salary that easily starts at $200,000 a year. And remember, that's before you even start talking about bonuses, stock options, and benefits. It's a massive financial commitment. Round 3 is all about flexibility. A vCISO service is designed to be elastic. You can scale up the hours for a big push, like getting ready for an audit, and then scale right back down when you're done. You pay for what you use. A full-time CISO? Well, that's a fixed resource and a fixed cost. Their capacity is what it is.
Okay, next up, how do they actually operate day-to-day? You can think of a vCISO as your strategic architect and your coach. They design the blueprint and then guide your team to build it. A full-time CISO does that too, but they're also deep in the trenches every day, directly managing the team's hands-on work.
And our final round, objectivity. Now, this one's a little more subtle, but incredibly important. As an outsider, a vCISO brings a fresh, unbiased point of view. They're not caught up in internal politics, so they can tell you the hard truths you need to hear. An internal CISO can sometimes get tangled up in the company culture, facing pressure that might make it tough to push for necessary but unpopular changes.
So, after 5 rounds, where does that leave us? Let's move from just comparing to actually making a decision. Here's a really simple framework to help you figure out which path is the right one for your company right now.
You should really seriously consider a vCISO if you're a startup or a small to medium business. If you're watching every penny, but you know you need that senior level guidance, this is for you. It's also perfect if you're building a security program from scratch, aiming for a specific compliance goal, or you're just not ready to pull the trigger on a full-time exec.
Now, on the flip side, the full-time CISO becomes the obvious choice when your business hits a certain size and complexity. We're talking large enterprises, especially in heavily regulated industries. If you're already managing a mature, complicated security program with a big internal team, you need that dedicated, in-house leadership every single day.
And that brings us to what I think is the most important point of this whole explainer. When you boil it all down, this decision isn't just about hiring a person or a service. It's bigger than that.
The goal isn't just to fill a box on the org chart. It's to acquire the capability of strategic security leadership. Whether that capability is delivered by a virtual expert or a full-time employee, that depends on your needs. But the capability itself, that's what really matters.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about for your own company. When you look at your security posture, do you have a true leadership capability that's driving your strategy forward, or do you just have a title? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.